Oliver Bearman's amazing first race has made his future in F1 racing look really bright. It looks like he's already trying to get into one of the Ferrari teams as fast as he can. At just 18 years old, what Bearman did in his first race with the Ferrari team was incredible. He kept both Norris and Hamilton behind him and finished 7th place after starting in 1st place. This definitely got the attention of F1 teams. But will Haas change from their usual way of choosing older, experienced drivers now that they have new bosses? And more importantly, Bearman the future of F1 racing? Oliver's first race was really surprising because he found out he'd be replacing Carlos Sainz just 1 hour before the 3rd practice session. So all he got to learn about the SF24 car was just 1 hour of practice time. Not only did he do great in qualifying by finishing 1st place, only 0.036 seconds behind Hamilton, but he also raced against experienced drivers and finished 7th place. Bearman said he could have done better and wished his soft tire time had lasted longer. This was a very grown-up answer from such a young guy who's only 18 years old. When talking about his future in F1, Bearman was pretty positive about his first and so far only time racing in a full F1 race. He said more about it. "I think I showed myself well, which is the main thing, right? It was a tough situation with not many practice laps, but I think I made the best of everything today. I felt like I was a bit faster than Fernando and Russell in front of me, but not fast enough to catch up. The gap was pretty big. I lost a lot of time trying to pass Hülkenberg, who used his experience to keep me behind him for a few more laps than he should have. So that's my mistake. But no, it was a good race." However, we all know this isn't Bearman's long-term goal, which is the same as any other F2 driver. Oliver wants to use this good momentum to get a permanent seat in F1. That would have to be done through F2 racing. But Oliver is now in a weird situation where he has more points in F1 than he has in F2, because he didn't race in F2 in Jeddah. That's going to change as he's racing with Prima Racing. The team has changed their luck since the 2nd race of the season, but Bearman is still far from where he wants to be in that championship. That didn't stop him from talking about a possible seat in Formula 1. "We know this seems impossible for any driver who comes out of this championship. The last 2 champions, Drugovich and Piastri, don't have seats in F1 and have to race in other categories to keep their racing skills sharp. Even so, Bearman has done more than enough to get Haas's attention." According to the 18-year-old British driver, he has a really good relationship with the American-based team to make it work in the most competitive championship in the world. Talking more about this, Bearman said, "I don't know what else I can do because I don't think I'll be in F1 for the rest of the year. I think I did a good job, and that's all I can do, push in F2 and cross my fingers. I have a lot of free practice sessions with Haas this year, so I'm looking forward to building a relationship and getting more miles in the car." The truth is that while Bearman is 18 years old, he does have good experience driving F1 cars since he did so last year in Mexico for Haas. On top of that, he was pretty competitive in F2 last year. Now that the team at Prima has a huge responsibility to prove they can win the championship along with Kimi Antonelli, the next wonder kid in the sport, Bearman will face a lot of pressure to give his best in the F2 championship. But this doesn't change the fact that the team he's chosen to represent, and the team that has gone through a complete change, likes to work with veterans like Hülkenberg and Magnussen. The fact that they found some extra speed with these drivers and scored their first point in Jeddah under the new leadership of Ayao Komatsu kind of makes Bearman's case look bad. Even so, even though Steiner has been criticized for many things, he's been doing his own way with the American team. Hiring 2 veteran drivers for a struggling team is not one of them. So whether or not Haas would want to step away from their normal way of working and put Bearman in the team will raise questions with the team leadership. But you can't ignore the fact that on much older tires, Bearman defended against Norris and Hamilton, both of whom had the soft tire and were pretty competitive at the end of the race. Even Bearman himself said that he had already given up and was ready to get passed by both British drivers at the end of the race. But handling this pressure and getting a hug from Hamilton to show respect for his work will definitely help his resume if he wants to enter F1 anytime soon. When talking about the special moments that Bearman shared with Hamilton, something that would happen much more often in the future if Haas decides to shake things up, the young British driver said, "Hamilton was literally pulling me out of the car. I was struggling a bit. The race was really physical. With a race like this, it's one of the lowest tire wear tracks of the season and one of the highest natural G-forces, so you're basically doing 50 qualifying laps, which is pretty amazing. I felt destroyed after the race physically. It was a very difficult one, especially at the end when I had the two guys on soft tires behind me. I had to basically push flat out, and it was mentally difficult as expected. And physically, I was struggling too, but great fun out there." Winning the Driver of the Day award was pretty much automatic for Bearman, because for someone to put on the performance he did at age 18 in the second fastest car on the grid shows that maybe the situation with drivers in Formula 1 needs to change. We have veterans at age 35 and older racing and helping their teams. While that's definitely needed when teams are struggling a lot to pick up points and some extra prize money to build much needed momentum, maybe this needs to change if we look at how the young drivers are performing once they're given the right opportunity. Although to be fair, Bearman's performance was not the most impressive debut we've seen. De Vries scored 9th place in the worst car on the grid in 2022 in Monza, even though he did it at age 26, and after having a lot more experience driving F1 cars for different teams during practice sessions. Yet being 18 years old, preparing for an F2 race, and getting a call for an F1 race to replace Sainz for the same reason that De Vries got the opportunity to replace Albon back in Monza is pretty amazing, and does look like a fairy tale for a driver of Bearman's level. Obviously, the Ferrari seat is taken by the 7-time world champion, and while Prima is connected to Mercedes, it would be Antonelli who's the preferred driver right now when it comes to replacing Hamilton. Because Bearman is a driver in Ferrari's academy, this puts a lot of pressure on Haas to change things from their point of view and make sure they can go into the new season with a young and promising driver similar to Schumacher in order to get the maximum potential after seeing what Bearman can do at Ferrari after having such little time to prepare himself. But right now, the situation is still clear. Ayao Komatsu has a very difficult job ahead of him, and he needs to understand the basic things about the car. For this to happen, he needs feedback from two very experienced drivers. The good news for Bearman is that both of Haas's drivers are running out of contract, and if things go badly pretty quickly with either of them, he would be one of the top choices to replace them. So with this in mind, do you think that Bearman has a bright future in F1? And more importantly, will that happen pretty soon at Haas? Let us know in the comments down below.